Okay, we're going to go over the problems from the other day. There was a lot of people that struggle with this. So you're actually going to do a second sheet almost exactly like this to practice this. So now, I think what got people is that, we didn't really decipher what it was asking or what it was giving us. When it says O is the midpoint of CD, it tells us a lot of information about CD. Alright, it's telling us that CD is cut in half, or that O is in the middle of CD. Okay, now a lot of you, it says name the congruent segments. A lot of you said that CD is congruent to AB, and I agree with you because it's a circle, and if O is in the middle of CD, it must be the middle of the circle. So, and all diameters are the same. But the other thing that it really tells you is that these two segments are congruent. That's what that statement directly tells you. It tells you that DO is congruent to OC. Now the next problem, alright, we're still naming the congruent segments. Given, alright, this is your given. You're given that SW, this segment, bisects. What does that mean? You have to look that up if you don't know. Bisecting means cuts in half. It cuts XV in half. So this line, so W is a midpoint of XW. That's another thing you could say. So W is a midpoint of XV. So it tells you that those two segments are equal. That's the only thing you know. XW is congruent to WV. Now if you have anything other than that, you're wrong, because you might say that RS is congruent to ST, but we don't know that for sure. You don't know anything about the angles or anything. The only thing you know is that those two segments are equal. I had people talking about angles here. I had a lot of people say that these opposite segments are equal. None of that is talked about. The only thing you know is that SW bisects that other side. Okay, I'm going to attempt to do this. So, alright, we're on screen here. Name the congruent angles. Now, it says RO bisects NP or NRP. So it's talking about an angle here. A lot of people were that angle right there, that orange angle. And RO bisects it. So what's bisect mean? Cuts in half. So it cuts that orange angle in half. So what does that tell us? Because I need to name the congruent angles given this statement. So if this angle is cut in half, I know the two parts are equal. So what do I name this first one? Well, that's angle NRO. That's congruent to PRO. Angle. Forget my angle symbol. There we go. So angle NRO is congruent to angle PRO. And that's the only thing. You can't say anything about the sides. I know it looks like a rectangle, but we're not sure if it's a rectangle at all. It doesn't say anything about the angles being 90 degrees. I don't know anything about the side, the segments. Some people said that RN was congruent to PO. I don't know that. The only thing that was given is that this line cuts this orange angle in half. So that makes the two parts equal. Okay, this one here, for some reason it printed a little bit smaller than the other ones, but here you go. So what it tells us is that XT and XV trisect the angle SXW. So this big angle SXW is trisected by these two lines, XT and XV. So the angle is cut into, what's trisect mean? Thirds. It's cut into thirds. So those three parts, those three angles are equal. Perfectly equal. I know nothing about these segments. They might look equal, but I don't know. So the only thing I can say is that three angles are equal. SXT is congruent to angle TXV, which is congruent to angle VXW. Oops. Okay, I might have to do a little adjusting to my camera here. There we go. Alright, now the question says name the angle bisector. So an angle bisector can be a point, or a segment, a ray, a line, or whatnot. In this case, it is a segment. So what bisects the angle? Well, these two little markings here tell me that I have two equal angles. So the big angle, angle FJH, must have been bisected. Alright, if it's two equal parts, it means it's bisected by which segment? The angle bisector is JG. That's the angle bisector. Okay, now this one says the measure of POK. So this angle is congruent or equal to measure of MOK, which is right there. So again, which angle has been cut in half or cut into two equal parts? That angle. So angle POK or POM has been bisected by what segment? KO. So that's my answer. KO is the segment. Oops. Okay, this question here says B and C trisect AD. What's that trisect mean? It means it cuts it into three equal parts. So these parts, those segments, those lengths are all the same. So the key here is just to see that, hey, how far did it go off? You know, how many units is that all together? From -5 to 16, that's 21. Think about it. 5 to 0, it takes you 5 to get to 0, and then another 16 to get to 16. So 5 and 16 make 21. Okay, so 21 cut up into three parts. Obviously 21 divided by 3 is 7. So you could go from 7 this way, but it might be easier to start with the positive. Go back 7. Alright, so 16 minus 7 is 9. 9 minus 7 is 2. And 2 minus 7 is -5. Okay, so it says find the coordinates of B and C. Obviously B is 2, C is 9. AC, what's the length of AC? Well, that's 2, 7. These are both 7, right? So that makes 14. So the length of AC is 14. Next problem here. It says, is M the midpoint of OP? You're not sure yet. So it says OP is 44, and the only thing you know, a lot of you might say, oh, this looks like in the middle, so I can set these two expressions equal to each other. The only thing I know is that x plus 8 and 2x minus 6 all together, so I write them kind of separate. If I add them together, they should equal 44. The entire length of that is 44. So once I solve that, I have 3x plus 2 equals 44. Subtract 2, 42. So x equals 14. So now, when I plug x back in, I get 14 plus 8, and that's 22. And obviously half of 44 is 22. If I plug it back in here, I get 28 minus 6, so I get 22. So since O, when I plugged it back in, I got 22 for each segment, so obviously M is the midpoint of OP. This one here, it says, it gives us expressions, and I saw a lot of people doing this when I walked around, so that's good. So you're writing that in there. Now, the last thing is huge. You got to read it. It's given to you. It tells you that J or GJ bisects the big angle FGH. That big angle is bisected. So what does that mean? It's cut in half. Or another way you can think about that is it's cut into 2 equal parts. Okay, if it's cut in half, obviously it's cut into 2 equal parts. So those two expressions, we're not going to add them up to something, we're going to set them equal to each other. I know that those two angles are equal. So now, let me make sure we're fitting on the screen. Subtract x from both sides. Oops. So you guys know how to solve variables on both sides. So I got x equals 16. If you plug it back in, now it wants f gj, so it wants this one right here. Obviously this can be the same as the other one, but you plug it back in, that's 48 minus 5, so that's 43 it looks like. So if you plug it in the other one, 16 plus 27 is also 43. So I must have done it right. It's kind of good to check both of them. Okay, this video is getting on. Okay, hopefully we can see this a little small, but the big thing here, you got to read this carefully. What is it telling you? B and C are trisection points of AD, and AD is 12. So that whole length is 12, and it's trisected by B and C, so that means it's cut into equal parts. So 12 divided by 3, these are 4 apiece. Okay, so this should be fairly easy. The first one, AB, is 4. AC, A to C, is 2 of those, so that's 8. And then it says, if AB equals x plus 3, solve for x. So AB, if it equaled x plus 3, well, we know at AB equals, see, basically it's saying, if AB equaled x plus 3, well, we know what AB is. AB is 4. So obviously x would equal 1, because 1 plus 3 makes the 4. That's all it's asking. Alright, then the next one, it says, if AB equaled x plus 3, and AE equaled 3x plus 6, find AE. So, basically, we know that x equals 1 if AB equals x plus 3. Think about it. 1 plus 3 makes the 4 that we need. So then once we know what x equals, I can just plug it into this one. Hopefully this isn't too small. 3 plus 6 equals 9. It's looking for 9 because we know what x equals, so we just plug it in and we find the value. It says what segment is C? What segment is C the midpoint of? Okay, C is right in the middle of BD. Okay, 7F. Do EB and EC trisect the angle AED? So those two lines in the middle trisect that big angle. And the answer is not enough info. We're not sure. We know nothing about this up here. Just because this is trisected doesn't mean the angles are trisected. Okay, next problem. This might be one of the longest videos I've ever done. Alright, so here we go. Given. There's a lot of givens. There's actually 4 of them. So read them. It says that the big angle ABC is 90 degrees. So we know altogether these should add up to 90, right? Because it says this is 3x. We're not really going to be able to probably write all these expressions in here. Okay, I tried to squeeze them in there, but the key here is that I have 3 expressions and altogether they sum plus the x plus the 20 plus the 3x. They all sum to 90. That's the key. 3 angles added together. See, 1, 2, 3. Add together to get 90. So I have 2, 3, I have 6 x's. 10 and 20 make 30. And if I solve this really quick, I'm running out of room to show all the work. Subtract 30 from both sides, divide by 6, I get 10. So x equals 10. So I got there. Now, that's not the question is, has the angle been trisected? Well, we got to plug it back in to see. So 3x when x equals 10 would lead to that angle 3 to be 30. If I have x plus 20 when x is equal to 10, that makes 30. And obviously if the other two of them are 30, obviously the third one's going to have to be 30. If I have 2x plus 10 and x equals 10, 2 times 10 is 20 plus 10 is the 30. So all 3 angles are 30 degrees. So I've proved that yes, it has been trisected. Okay, we've had a couple of these problems before. I think you guys are kind of catching on. I have 4x plus 3x plus 2x. And what do I know about all 3 of these? They form the straight angle FOJ. And a straight angle is 180 degrees. So 7, I have 9 x's. Divide by 9. It's like x equals 20. So it says find the measure of angle FOG, which is right here, and that one's 4x, so 4 times 20 makes 80. And if you think about it, this one's 60 and this one's 40. I know I didn't ask for those, but if you add them all up, you get 180. Okay, I think I'll make this the last one. We'll go over the other 2 when I get back. But remember, these tick marks mean that they're the same. They're kind of the old school tick marks. If you want to make them look like that instead, go ahead. But it says TP bisects segment VS and MR. So now this one tells me that this segment TP, basically it cuts in half those 2 sides, VS, and MR. Or you could say that T is the midpoint of VS and P is the midpoint of MR. So I know that that's the case. Now, it also tells me that VM and SR are the same. So really I should put 3 tick marks with that one because that's a different side. And then it tells me actually what MP is. MP is 9, VT is 6, and it actually tells me that the perimeter of MRSV, so the perimeter of the whole thing, is 62. So really, if you think about it, if this is 9, that's 6, and it's asking for VM. So really this is unknown, this is an unknown. So if you add this up, obviously this is 18, this is 12 altogether, right?